My name is David, and this happened on the M62 during a storm that shut down half the motorway. I was driving home to Leeds from a work conference in Liverpool when my car engine died completely around 11 p.m. I pulled onto the hard shoulder in the middle of nowhere. Rain was coming down in sheets, and my phone showed no signal. The nearest services were 15 miles back, and I hadn't seen another car in 20 minutes. That's when I saw the headlights approaching from behind. A van pulled up about 50 meters back and just sat there with its engine running. I thought they were stopping to help, but nobody got out. I walked back toward the van, getting soaked in the rain. When I got close enough to see through the windscreen, the driver quickly reversed and drove off. Strange, but I figured they'd changed their mind about helping. 10 minutes later, the same van came back. This time it parked even closer to my car. I could see two men inside now, both looking at me through their windscreen. When I started walking toward them again, they drove off. This happened 3 more times over the next hour. The van would appear, park behind my car, watch me for a few minutes, then leave when I approached. Each time they got a little closer to my broken down car. I realized they weren't trying to help. They were studying me, seeing if anyone else would stop, checking if I had any weapons or ways to call for help. Around midnight, the van returned and parked right behind my car, blocking me in. This time, both men got out. They were wearing dark raincoats with hoods up, but I could see they were both big men. One was carrying what looked like a tire iron. I locked myself in my car and tried my phone again. Still no signal. The men split up. One went to the front of my car, the other to the back. They started checking my tires, looking under the car, examining the windows like they were planning how to get me out. Then the one with the tire iron started smashing my rear lights, deliberately destroying them so I couldn't signal for help if another car came by. I honked my horn continuously, hoping to attract attention, but the storm was too loud. The sound just disappeared into the rain and wind. That's when I saw the third man. He'd been hiding in the back of their van the whole time. He was walking along the motorway barrier with a large flashlight, clearly acting as a lookout for other cars. These weren't random criminals. They were organized. They knew exactly what they were doing. The man at my front window started trying to pry open my door with the tire iron. The metal was bending under the pressure. I had maybe 2 minutes before he got it open. In desperation, I put the car in neutral and let it roll forward down the slight slope. It didn't go fast, but it was enough to get away from the man with the tire iron. I steered toward the central reservation barrier and crashed into it deliberately. The impact set off my airbag and activated the car's emergency system. Even without phone signal, the car's built-in system could sometimes connect to emergency services through satellite. The crash also made a lot of noise and sparks. If any other drivers were nearby, they'd notice. The 3 men realized their plan was falling apart. I heard one of them shout, "Leave it!" Someone might have seen the crash. They got back in their van and drove off quickly. A lorry driver found me 20 minutes later and called police. When they investigated, they found that stretch of motorway had been used for similar attacks before. Criminals would target lone drivers during storms when traffic was light and visibility was poor. The police showed me photos from other incidents. The same van, the same tactics. But I was the first person who'd managed to escape and give them a description. They told me what would have happened if those men had gotten me out of my car. Based on previous attacks, they would have taken me somewhere remote, tortured me for my PIN numbers and passwords, then killed me to avoid leaving witnesses. My name is James, and this happened 3 months ago. I still think about it every day. I was house-sitting for my sister in Birmingham while she was on her honeymoon. Nice little terraced house, quiet neighborhood. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, except I didn't know anyone. It was raining hard that Tuesday night. I'd just finished dinner when I heard a car door slam outside. Nothing strange about that, but then I heard voices. 2 men talking quietly near the front gate. I couldn't make out the words, but something about their tone made me nervous. I turned off the living room lights and looked through the curtains. A white van was parked across the street. The engine was running, windscreen wipers going. 2 blokes stood by my sister's gate, one pointing at the house. They kept looking at the windows like they were checking which rooms had lights on. My heart started racing. I grabbed my phone and thought about calling police. But what would I say? 2 men looking at a house? They hadn't done anything yet. Then one of them walked up the front path. He didn't knock. Instead, he tried the door handle. When it didn't open, he moved to the side window and cupped his hands against the glass, trying to see inside. I crept upstairs and called 999 from the back bedroom. The operator said they'd send someone, but it might take 20 minutes. 20 minutes felt like forever. I heard footsteps on the gravel at the side of the house. They were checking the back door now. The kitchen door handle rattled. Then I heard something that made my stomach drop. The sound of glass breaking. They were inside. I locked the bedroom door and hid in the wardrobe, phone on silent. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. I could hear them downstairs, opening drawers, moving furniture. One of them had a torch. I could see the light beam moving around downstairs through the gap under the door. The smell hit me first. Cigarette smoke and something else. Maybe petrol or chemicals. These weren't just random burglars. They moved through the house like they knew exactly what they were looking for. I heard one of them in the kitchen, opening every cupboard methodically. The other was in the living room, and I could hear him moving the sofa, checking behind the TV. "Found the router," one of them called out quietly. "Disconnecting it now." My blood went cold. They were cutting off any way I could call for help online. The landline cord must have been cut too, because I remembered seeing my sister's phone on the kitchen counter. They'd thought of everything. I pressed myself further back into the wardrobe, trying not to breathe too loud. My sister's clothes were all around me, and I caught a whiff of her perfume. It made me think about how I'd promised to keep her house safe while she was away. Now I was hiding like a coward while these men destroyed her home. "Check upstairs," I heard one of them say. His voice was rough, local accent. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. The landing floorboard creaked right outside the bedroom. The door handle turned slowly. When it wouldn't open, someone pushed hard against the door. The thin lock wouldn't hold much longer. "Someone's been here recently," the other voice called from downstairs. "Dinner plate's still warm." That's when I heard the sirens. 2 police cars pulled up outside, blue lights flashing through the windows. I heard swearing, then running footsteps. The back door slammed. When the police got inside, they found my sister's jewelry box empty and her laptop missing. But they'd left in such a hurry that they dropped something by the back door, a piece of paper with my sister's address written on it, along with "away 2 weeks" and "house sitter, young male." The police said they'd been watching the house. They knew exactly when my sister left for her honeymoon and that someone would be staying there alone. The officer showed me scratches around the back door lock. They'd tried to get in quietly first before breaking the window. They never caught them. The van was stolen and the number plate was fake. But I'll never forget that feeling of being hunted in someone else's house, knowing they'd planned it all along. My name is Ben, and this happened during the worst storm Manchester had seen in years. I was alone in my second-floor flat when the power went out around 9 p.m. That's when I heard knocking on my window. Not my door, my window. There was no balcony or fire escape. No way anyone could reach it without the scaffolding from next door's renovation. I grabbed a candle and peered out, but the rain was too heavy to see anything. The knocking continued, deliberate, patient. I called police, but with trees down everywhere, they said it would be at least an hour. The knocking stopped. Then I heard my front door handle being tested downstairs. The old building's lock sometimes failed during storms when the wood swelled. Footsteps on the stairs. Slow, wet footsteps climbing toward my floor. Through the peephole, I saw a man in dark clothes, soaking wet, holding something metal. A crowbar. He started prying at my door. The old wood creaked under pressure. I called 999 again. He's breaking in with a crowbar. That's when I noticed water dripping from my ceiling. Not from a leak, from wet footprints. Someone was in the empty flat above mine, walking around like they were searching for something. 2 people. One breaking down my door, another already inside the building. My door frame splintered. I could see the crowbar through the crack. I grabbed a knife and locked myself in the bathroom, the only room with a solid door. Heavy footsteps entered my flat. Then I heard the person upstairs moving toward the staircase, coming down to join his partner. I was trapped between 2 intruders with no lights and no way out. Police found me 2 hours later, still locked in the bathroom. My flat was completely ransacked. Every drawer torn apart, mattress cut open, sofa cushions sliced. But nothing valuable was taken. My laptop, phone, wallet were all there. They'd been searching for something specific. The previous tenant upstairs had been a drug dealer. Police think the intruders believed he'd hidden money or drugs in the building. They'd found cigarette butts outside and scuff marks on the scaffolding. Someone had been watching both flats for weeks. The storm gave them perfect cover. No witnesses, delayed police response. I moved out the next week, but every time it rains hard, I remember that night. While I was hiding in the bathroom, I heard them talking through the thin walls. One voice said, "Check behind the radiators again." Tommy said he hid it somewhere the landlord wouldn't find it. The other replied, "What if the new tenant found it already?" Then silence for a long moment before the first voice said, "Then we'll have to ask him personally." That's when I realized they weren't just looking for drugs or money. They thought I might have already found whatever the previous tenant had hidden. If they'd gotten to me that night, they would have tortured me for information I didn't have. The scariest part is they never found what they were looking for.